I'm Silver, a born clairvoyant, near-death experiencer, and I'm here to remind you that you are your best guru. I want to ask you today if you are someone who gets called naive a lot, or who ends up getting manipulated or taken advantage of a lot, and you're like, why does this keep happening? I can see very clearly this keeps happening, but why? I want to go into this because it's really common, especially with people like introverts and empaths and anyone who's just an open, friendly kind of person. So you're basically looking at the world around you, and you most likely don't know this, but you're basically looking at the world around you through the lens of your own values. And you're assuming, again, probably without realizing it, that everybody shares your same motives and intentions. But then you've got all these hallmark pieces of things just not sitting right. It's just under the surface, and it seems harmless, but deep down that it's not. A compliment that lands like a rock in your stomach, or an exchange with a friend that makes you feel smaller and less close to them than you did before you ever had the conversation. And our role model for this video is going to be Tyrion Lannister from the Game of Thrones. He was not the biggest, strongest. He was also not the highest up at all in the hierarchy. He was treated like the red-headed stepchild, but he survived, and he did it by doing the very thing that's most unnatural to someone like you or me. So he would get himself into trouble all the time, and when he did, first thing he would do is scrap his point of view, and he would immediately put himself in the other person's shoes and ask, what does this person want? And being in survival mode, he'd then ask, and then how can I help get it for him? So that's super drastic, but that automatic way of meeting someone new and not just embracing them openly and trusting them automatically, but reserving yourself somewhat and observing them in their natural environment somewhat, and trying to put yourself in their shoes to get a sense of how they operate, instead of presuming, like I used to, oh, there's super amazing people and there's really crappy people, but basically everybody's just like a pretty good person. And thank you, Jeffrey Epstein, for teaching me, I think for my final lesson, no matter what you're seeing on the surface. And I'm really not making light of that situation. I was crying on and off for 2 weeks after learning the details of that. It felt so shocking, but it also felt like a reality check I deeply needed. I have been defrauded. I have been taken for money, for other people's money, for the value I can bring to a relationship. I've been used in friendships, and I never saw it coming. And it's been a kind of humiliating, frustrating lesson. And the entire Jeffrey Epstein circle of people and behavior woke me up. And it was super uncomfortable, but it was super necessary. I've had to deal with the FBI on matters like this. They've been so egregious. And that's because I just never realized, I'd never considered that your regular everyday people weren't just regular everyday good people. Not like they were saints or anything, and assuming that they just weren't incredibly bad, just assuming they were normal, decent human beings, which now I know is something to value a lot more than I did, and not to take it for granted. But again, if you notice something that doesn't feel right or that doesn't sit right, that is your intuition trying to break through and get your attention. If suddenly a certain relationship makes you feel bad, or you notice a totally new pattern of behavior with someone else or within yourself, That's all stuff that deserves your attention. It's not incongruity, it's information when you treat it in this way. And anything like that requires your curiosity. Not like a huge deal, but it requires you to just take a minute and look into it for the highest and best of everyone, yourself and that person, so that you aren't ever taken advantage of again. I love you guys. If you want to talk live, join my Patreon, and I'll see you in the next one.